How to make your marriage work. Part number 2. Today I will tell you how to see where your marriage will be taking you right after your ceremony, right after the paperwork is done, where your marriage will be taking you. So in order to understand where the marriage will be taking you, look at the first house of your horoscope. So the first house of the horoscope in Navamsha, we are talking about D9 chart, the soul of the marriage. The ruler of the first house of the horoscope and its placement will indicate where you should pay attention after the marriage. So for example, if the ruler of the first house of the horoscope is going to house number 2, which is responsible for finance, for money accumulation, for food intake, for family roots, it will mean that after the marriage, make sure that you accumulate enough money, that you spend enough time with your family members, that you look after the food intake, after your diet properly. If the ruler of the first house of the horoscope is sitting in the third house of the horoscope, which indicates communications, traveling, hobbies, it will mean that your marriage will make you focus on travelings, on your favorite things, on developing better communications, and etc. If the ruler of your horoscope, the first house of your Navamsha, is sitting in the fourth house of the horoscope, which is responsible for emotional balance, for relationships with those who are around you, for comfort at home, it will mean that after the marriage, you will need to focus on the areas of the fourth house of the horoscope. If the ruler is sitting in the fifth house of the horoscope, and again, remember, we're talking about D9 chart, your Navamsha, it will mean that after the marriage, you will need to focus on the areas of the fifth house of the horoscope, which is raising kids, which is education, higher education, which is spiritual practices. And by doing so, by the way, why are we talking about this? Because by following the focus areas, by following the energy flow of your chart, you will be able to maintain your marriage. So these are the tips, right, on how to make your marriage work. So now, if the ruler of the first house of your Navamsha horoscope is sitting in the sixth house, it will mean that after the marriage, you will need to deal with the problems, probably with the sicknesses or like difficulties of your husband, or it may also mean that the marriage will kind of open up some hidden areas that you need to work on within yourself, because we know that the enemies can be internal and external. So internal enemies may be anger management, maybe some different emotional issues. So you will need to work on them in order to make your marriage work. Now, if the ruler of your first house of your Navamsha is sitting in the seventh house of the horoscope, it will indicate that there is a great opportunity to do business with your husband, and that may also be not the remedy, like the way to make your marriage work much better. Now, if the ruler of the horoscope is sitting in the eighth house of your chart, of your Navamsha chart, it will mean that after the marriage, you will need to focus on self-transformation, on, and learning how to deal with critical situations, but also focus more on yoga, meditation, because it's an esoteric house. It's a house of yoga, meditations, different transformative practices to make you, to discover a better, true self. And if the ruler of the first house of the horoscope is sitting in the ninth house of your Navamsha chart, it will mean that it will be great to travel with your husband, to go to the holy places, to engage yourself in spiritual practices, to find a spiritual guru that will enlighten you, and that will help you to maintain and save your marriage, to make your marriage work. If the ruler of the first house of your Navamsha chart is sitting in the 10th house of the horoscope, it will mean that the marriage will make you focus on your career, on your development in a society, as well as will make you basically focus on the areas, on the career areas of your husband or of your spouse, I would say. And by focusing on these areas will help you to save your marriage. And now if the ruler of the first house of the horoscope of your Navamsha chart is sitting in the 11th house of the horoscope, it will mean that the marriage will make you focus on self-growth, self-development, your marriage will depend on how you manage the income of the money, how you make the decisions about the money. An improper decision may cause some problems in the marriage. So therefore, you will need to be financially intelligent if the ruler of the first house of your horoscope is sitting in the 11th house. Also, 11th house represents friends. So make sure that your friends are the people who support your marriage, because this is what's going to happen once you get married. And if the ruler of the first house of your Navamsha chart is sitting in the 11th house. Now, if the ruler of the first house of your Navamsha chart is sitting in the 12th house of your Navamsha chart, it will mean that there will be a great opportunity with your spouse to travel, and you, even if you don't like traveling, but in order to save your marriage, in order to make your marriage work, you will need to dedicate some time, you will need to put some effort to go to the holy places, to engage yourself in some charity with your husband, to engage yourself into some yoga and meditation practices, because 12th house of the horoscope represents renunciation. It also represents charity. And on the negative side, if we're not engaged in those areas, it may cause us losses, because loss and income are balanced by charity. So therefore, if you see that the ruler of the first house of the horoscope is sitting in the 12th house of your Navamsha, just engage yourself in those practices. Learn to be charitable, learn to be spiritual, and that will save your marriage. Also, 12th house of the horoscope indicates release of any kind of bad habits, negative habits, those that may ruin your life. So if the ruler is sitting there, it means that in order to save your marriage, you need to get rid of some kind of issues, some attachments that may be an obstacle on the way of your happiness. So today we spoke about some tips on how to make your marriage work and how to see where your marriage will make you focus after the marriage. Now, why people have several marriages and don't find their way out? What happens there? The reason is, if the ruler of the first house of your Navamsha chart is in a difficult position, maybe debilitated, maybe surrounded by planets that are like malefic planets, that may cause the person, or that may cause basically that may be an obstacle for the clear vision. The intuition might not be there, where to go and how to act. And in that case, of course, astrological chart reading will be a great help, so that you can stay aware, so that you know why things change after the marriage, what happens, because once people get together, their planets also get together, and their Navamshas, the soul of the marriage, they also get together, and they start influencing each other in order to fulfill the task of the soul, to fulfill the karmic task, and to basically help two people evolve through their relationship. Therefore, it's very important to be aware, so that it doesn't come as a surprise. Good surprises are great, but bad surprises are not great. Therefore, just educate yourself in those areas, and if you need help, get in touch with me, and I will be very happy to look at your Navamsha chart, to look at your compatibility with the other person, and to tell you where you need to focus if you decide to get married, and will give you more recommendations on how to make your marriage work. Now, if you already married and you see that your marriage doesn't work, again, consultation will be very helpful, and also willpower, because there are always remedies on how to improve the situation. There are a lot of different astrological remedies for everybody's personal situation. Therefore, because like the chart that we see, it's our past, it's what we brought into this life, but now what are we going to do with it? It's our choice. So it's very important to use your choice wisely. So that's it for today, and if you have any questions, please post under this video. If you have any realizations, I will be happy to read them. If you think that somebody can benefit from this information, please also share it with other people. I will post this video in a few seconds, and those who didn't see it will be able to enjoy the information on how to make your marriage work, part 2. All the best to you.